In today's rapidly evolving business landscape, workplace culture has emerged as a defining factor that influences an organization's ability to attract top talent, retain employees, and achieve long-term success. It's widely acknowledged that a healthy workplace culture fosters an employee engagement, innovation, and productivity. Yet, what often remains underestimated is the significant role that leadership plays in shaping and sustaining this culture. How leaders serve as an architect of a company's cultural vision, how they navigate the complex journey from articulating that vision to executing in a practical day-to-day operation. A very warm welcome to the Season 9 of EA Cafe with Azim. I am your host, Azim Sahil, a human capital specialist, Lego Series Play facilitator, ICF certified coach, and a PCC level coach, an emotionally intelligent and emotional culture tech practitioner. I'm one of the lead facilitators at Luminary Learning Solutions. I'm thrilled to be in another interesting episode. It's going to explore the 30 minutes of next valuable learning. In today's topic, we are going to talk about, as I mentioned, leadership's role in shaping workplace culture from vision to execution. To have this conversation, I have one of my good connections on my Elephant Riders tribe. So let me introduce Cathy Sheppard, founder and CEO of BSI People Skills. Cathy, welcome to the cafe.
Yeah, hello. It's nice to be here, Azim. Thank you very much for having me in the cafe.
Brilliant. First and foremost, my humble gratitude. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time. I know we are trying to find time for each of us, but thank God we are here. So thank you very much for spending your valuable time of 30 minutes of your time to talk about an important topic. So Cathy, leadership roles. We all been talking. We talk about shaping workplace culture. All the leaders have visions. The question is execution, right? So on that note, let me start with this particular conversation with why is a good workplace culture is important?
That's such a good question. Yeah, why a good workplace culture is important. You know, this is why I started my business, is because workplaces are all about people. And I watched so many companies burn their people, having people burn out and leave because they had very, very bad management or they treated their staff very poorly. And I watched my good friends sitting there on Sunday night, thinking about going to work the next morning and not wanting to go. They had what's called the Sunday scaries, where they're just dreading the week ahead. And when they go to work, they're on edge, they're nervous about what's going to happen, and so they can't put in their best work. I also watched people being very excited about being promoted to leadership roles, and then sort of several weeks in or several months in, I watched them lose confidence. I watched them lose their confidence in themselves and their ability to do their work. They were making many mistakes. They hadn't had the training for leadership roles. And the role is so different when you get promoted to being a leader in an organization or a team manager or whatever sort of leadership role you are taking in a company. And the thing is that most businesses, they promote the people that were really good at their jobs or the people that have been in the job the longest, and then they just expect them to be really good as a leader or a manager in that role. And all of this is part of a good workplace culture, right? Because when you have a good workplace culture, your people want to come to work. They don't sit there on a Sunday afternoon saying to their friends, "Oh, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I hate it." Right? Or I hate my manager because they're just dreadful. They don't sit there going, "Oh, I'm really nervous," and losing sleep because they're worried about what's going to happen the next day. And I think this is why having a good workplace culture is so important, because work takes up so much of our lives. And when we are in a place where we love going to work and where we love working with the people. They don't have to be our best friends, right? But when we enjoy working with the different people around us, it changes every aspect of our lives. Not only are we able to bring our best self in our workplaces, but for me, families are really important as well. And when you've had these amazing days at work, you go home and you have energy and you have life and you have enjoyment for your family, and you're able to be a better partner for your partner. You're able to be a better parent for your children. And that to me is shaping also the next generation. So why is a good workplace culture important? Because people matter.
Absolutely. People drives the whole organization performance, isn't it? And one thing I really loved at the last part you mentioned about when you have that the feeling when you're at work,
Yes.
feeling energized, feeling motivated, feeling secure, and feeling very free and fun-loving can really have a ripple effect when you go home. I think that's because what I've heard people like when they go home, they're like really drained out, they're burned out, they're stressed, and then they go home and a real conversation doesn't happen at home also because of that particular impact. I think you're really spot on now. But here's the challenge, right? So how do you make a good culture? What's a leader role in this particular process?
Their role is actually really, really, really important, because without the leaders making the decision to work on their culture, it can never happen. Right? Because leadership is the culture is led from the top. And if other people within the organization are trying to make it a good place to work, but it is not being supported or driven by the leadership will undermine it all of the time. Right? Because the leaders need to lead. They need to be setting the groundwork. They need to be modeling. They need to be building those relationships. They need to be modeling the vulnerability that comes with as part of building a workplace culture. And so I think that is the very first thing, is that if you're wanting to set up a good workplace culture, you need to decide to do it. So that's step number one.
Absolutely.
Step number two.
So can I interrupt there? Can I interrupt there?
Yeah.
You said like willing to do it, right? Now, is that meaning that you have your whole values and all the norms and the whole things on a board or on the wall, but you don't action it? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, but yes, it's part of that. But if you may not even have that sort of stuff set up. It's like a decision that you're going to make where I value workplace culture and I'm going to work to build a good workplace culture in my organization. Because unless that comes from you and you know that that's a good thing to do and you want to do it, it won't happen, right? Because a good workplace culture doesn't just happen. It's not, you can't wave a magic wand and all of a sudden this amazing workplace culture comes in. It takes work. It takes a strategy in order to be able to create that workplace culture. And it has to start with the leader. So they have to decide to do it, right? And then the next thing that they need to do is to start learning about people. First of all, themselves, right? Who are they? Who are they as a leader? Who are they as a person? What does success look like to them? How do they communicate? What works? What doesn't work? To build their own emotional intelligence, to understand, what their emotions are, and learning to manage their emotions so that their communication is better as well. And then they need to start learning about the other people that are there and helping them learn more about themselves as well, so that you're starting to build strong relationships across the organization with that understanding of difference that is so important. So it's not an easy thing. It does take work, but it is so worth it.
Yeah. So here's something I'm a little bit confused here at the moment, right?
Yes.
Before I move on to the next, now you said a leader's role is vital and a leader need to take a key role. But isn't cultures are built by people who have like tiny interaction? Like how does that leader comes in there? Is it part of the team, or is it like it's a top-down driven one?
No, for me, when you look at the organization charts in so many businesses, right, you have all of these tiers of people, right? And there's this person here that's there, and there's this person, this tier of people here. And it's almost like it's driven from the top saying, you need to work well together, or you need to get your team sorted out, or you need to. But the thing is that if the leader is not part of the team, then it can't happen, right? So the leader has to be able to build those relationships. So when I'm working with organizations, rather than thinking of an org chart and all of these different layers within the organization, I look at where are the teams of people, and there will be a leader and the group of people that they're working with, and that's a circle, right? And this team of people over here, they're working together, and there'll be a leader in there as well. But that team needs to be able to create a good environment, right? The leader can't stand out of it. If the leader is not involved, it won't work as effectively, right? No matter how good the relationships are within that circle, if the leader is not in there, they will undermine it in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're trying to say is being part of the people is important to shape that culture. Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And it's like a servant leader. Some people talk about servant leadership, and that's exactly what that's about. It's building relationships right across the team.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. And it does make sense with the context that we are running today. Now, let me come to the important area part of this particular conversation. Now, you all know about vision, mission, strategies, and execution. Now, how can vision get into the execution piece by building or shaping a workplace culture? Where does this particular thing fit in terms of a culture?
For me, it's like the glue. The vision is like the glue for an organization, right? Because you have all of these different people, and if they don't know where they're going and why, then they're just doing their job, right? But if they know where they're going and they're inspired by where they are going, then that releases an energy inside them. And that energy inside them increases productivity. It increases engagement. It helps to reduce the conflict, the costly conflict in teams, right? Because if they are heading in the same direction and everybody wants to go there, then it makes it easier to deal with the challenges. And that's why vision is so important, because otherwise you are just coming to work to make money for somebody else. And to pay, to get paid so that you can pay your bills. And when you're looking at the energy that is released from within inside of us as people, I know what sort of energy I want to have. I want to have people that are inspired, that rather than just coming to work, doing their job and going home. And that's the importance of vision.
Yeah, I think I totally agree, because it's a right point. I was in a session yesterday. This is called Run Your Run. They have picked up critical talent to retain them. So they're trying to upskill these people. So, the globe is going through a tough time. So one of our key indicators in our economy is the apparel sector exports. So we produce for popular brands and send across, right? So this particular company has shut down one of their plants in the country. Now, these people who are training from another plant, right? Now, the top leaders has a vision. They're taking decision based on the business requirement, make sure that sustainability, create that sustainability. So when we go through this particular conversation, we talked about risk. And they suddenly ask question like, what is the risk for us? What if I'm changing my job role? What is the risk? And I was curious, and Cathy, I must keep on asking, what led to you all to this? We don't have, sufficient orders coming in. So we don't have enough work. Now, 2 plants are closed down. 1 is shut down. Now, what I understood here is there's a sense of fear involved rather than the risk. And the element of productivity is very less. The interaction is very less unless I ask the question. So the whole idea I'm trying to get what the vision you're trying to communicate. The communication plays a vital role in culture setting up, right?
Yes.
in vision to execution. What is your thought on that? Because when people don't know what's going around the organization, at the same time, the leaders does not understand what people are feeling. There's a big gap, right, with the execution part. What is your thought?
Yes, it's a very good point, and it comes back to the vision, if you like, and also your mission or your purpose of your organization. And Simon Sinek is a great guy. He talks about why. Okay, and people. Many companies, when they're setting their vision, they want to, create X number of widgets or create X number of garments to be able to be sold, or X number of machines to be able to be sold. And what Simon Sinek talks about is true purpose is always human, right? So that we're not about creating machines or garments or something, but why are we doing it, right? Why are we doing it? What difference are those things that we are making going to make for the people? And when you know that you are making a difference for people from your work, then that is where the interest, the meaning, the energy is released, right? For example, he talks about Apple computers, right? Yeah. And it would be very easy to say, well, we sell Apple computers, come and buy one, right? As opposed to, we want to make your life better. And he says it's so much better than me, Oh, and by the way, we sell computers, you want to buy one type thing. But it's about beautiful computers or beautiful technology that's outside the status quo and so on. And when you do that, you engage people's curiosity, creativity, and your people then may help you to be able to find new ways, to be able to find new markets. And when you have a good culture and when when everybody is on board with that, then you can harness everybody's ideas to be able to create a new future, as opposed to being driven by fear, as you mentioned.
So
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're trying to say is how you convey the message, like what you said, Simon Sinek, like by our computer, right? That change the life experience, like, and how you convey. At the same time, it's important, right, Cathy, to understand a leader's perspective. Leader need to understand what my people are feeling at this moment. This is what the emotion culture deck plays a lot, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That can really help us to understand the current pulse in the culture.
Yes.
And how do you want to feel?
Yes.
What do you think on that thought process, connecting the vision?
Absolutely. And that's part of creating the vision, actually. When I'm working with companies, and I did this actually with a team just last week, and we went through and did exactly what you were talking about how do we want to feel as a team working together, and what are our top 5 emotions that we want to feel, and what are the actions that we need to take in order for us to be able to feel like this, right? And it can be as simple as greeting each other when we arrive at work, as opposed to just coming, clocking in or whatever, right? Sitting down at your desk, head down. But then also, what do we want our customers to feel?
Yeah.
Right? What do we want them to feel? And what do we need to do in order to make that happen? And therefore, if we are looking at our success for our people and the people that we serve, what are the 6 or 5 or 6 most important feelings that we want each other to feel, right? And from there, if you've got that set, then you can look at what your clients need, what your customers need, and start working towards creating and making sure that your customers are getting what they need from you, as opposed to, we make such and such, make more, sell it, why can't you sell it? That's a very, very different way of looking at it. And it also helps you to start to look at what your customers are feeling. Because how do we actually want our customers to feel? Do we want them to feel manipulated because they've had to buy something from us? Or do we want them to feel delighted because these products that we've created or these services that we've created are just beyond what they had imagined, right? They're so beautiful.
Absolutely. I think you were really spot on, and make much more sense when we compare to that feeling factor coming in, because we create vision thinking of the future, this is where I want to be. But I think my perspective, you need to have that piece of emotion and feeling as part of one of the
Yes.
culture or pillar of the organization. It can really direct the vision to execution. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Cathy, like now, let's say everybody's good at starting, everybody's good in creating it, but how do you maintain? How do you sustain? And that's the difficult part. How
Yes,
do you
it
do
is.
that?
It is. It is that. And actually, there's a little bit more. It's not just vision that we need to create, right? It's the vision and the mission and the purpose, yes. But there's also your core values, because we don't talk, as people, we don't talk about values. And the work that I've done with teams and organizations, 98%, actually 99, close to 100% of the issues in the teams comes down to miscommunication. And often that's because of a clash of values. And because we don't talk about values, we don't talk about what we believe is the right way of operating. And yet you will have totally different ways of operating than me. And we wouldn't necessarily have thought about those things until you do something. And I think, oh, that's a dreadful way to behave, right? Why would you do that? Or I might do something and you might say, man, she's rude. Why would she do that? And yet it's just a difference in the way that we were brought up, a difference in the things that we value. So part of creating this culture that you're wanting, you need to be able to make those values explicit. And again, creating them together. What's the type of organization we want to create? What are the values? What are the behaviors that lead to creating that? What's another part of it is about the communication. And I highly recommend personality profiling as part of any building of new culture, where people learn more about why they do what they do, and why other people do what they do. And therefore, you're not clashing with each other so much, right? Because again, that miscommunication, you want other people to communicate in your way of communicating. And yet other people don't, right? And then you get annoyed. Some people love lots of detail. Other people don't want the detail. Other people want lots of emotion, right? You know, tell me about what this is going to feel like. Other people are saying, forget the emotion. There is no realism in the emotion. I want
just get the thing done.
Absolute. Just get the thing done. Or that idea won't work. I need more information. You haven't got a strong enough plan yet. And another group of people are going to be saying, but what about people's feelings? Right? And all of these people are all people, right? And every single way of being is a valid way of being. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no better, there's no worse. People need to understand that and be able to embrace, create an environment where everyone's working together.
The reason why, Cathy, I always say like that, leadership is damn difficult. It's a difficult job to do.
100%. And it's the keeping it learning, right?
Yeah.
Because you can do this work, and you can do the personality profiling, and you can create your vision, and you can create your core values, and you create your mission. And then the next thing people do is they put it in a drawer.
Absolutely.
And come back to it a year later.
And sometimes you ask people,
cannot do that.
Values, vision.
You cannot do that. You cannot do that. It needs to be embedded in every area of your business. So
into the DNA of the system.
100%. Yeah. So where is it in your policies, your processes, your meeting procedures? Where is it in your recruitment information, your induction processes, your week-to-week meetings, your celebrations? How are you bringing those in your monthly meetings, your quarterly meetings, your annual meetings? When are you reviewing these things? How are you feeding it into reward systems, for example? How are you celebrating the awesome things that are happening? And all of those things need to be led from the top.
And that's how you sustain.
Yeah. That's how you sustain it. You make sure that the systems are there to support the culture.
Thank you for sharing that. Cathy, we are coming just to end of our conversation. I'm just curious to know, like, what are your top tools that you teach your clients when helping this whole regulating the state?
Yes. So as we've talked about already, there's 2 different tools that I use above all else, but I use actually very many. The first one is DISC, everything DISC, because it is about communication. And 98, 99% of issues in teams are about communication. And what I found is that when people understand why they do what they do and why other people do what they do, then there's no longer the same judgment between people. And they can understand where the other person is coming from and understand how to better communicate with them. And it increases the humor, if you like, across the team from understanding those differences and seeing those differences play out in everyday life. And as well as that, when they're working with their clients, they can think about what disc styles they are. The second one that is amazing for developing emotional competence is the emotional culture deck, because it provides that language around emotions that so many people don't have. You know, so many people grew up saying happy, sad, angry, and that was all, maybe frustrated, maybe a little bit of embarrassed, maybe a bit impatient. But there are so many more emotions. And when we touch in and we recognize our emotions and we recognize the emotions in other people, then it enables people to work through those emotions and not stay stuck in them. When people repress how they're feeling, you know, we've been told, don't be sad, don't be angry. Well, it just stays there in a big knot, right? Whereas if we can say, oh, you know, I'm feeling a bit angry at the moment, just give me a moment. Right? You don't have to stay angry. It's what we do about it when we're in those states, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I love the emotional culture deck. And the other part of it is the teams that I'm working with, they are implementing it in their weekly meetings. So it gives them an amazing opportunity to reflect on the previous week. Like, how have they felt over the past week? You know, a black card and a white card. Good feelings, not so good feelings. And then how do they want to feel this coming week? And I've had my clients say things like, that is so powerful because I'm learning things about my team that I would never have learned in any other way. And it's helping us all to understand each other better. And that's the power of that tool.
Absolutely.
I use other tools like the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team and wealth dynamics, talent dynamics as well, which are amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Brilliant. One of the questions I always ask, Cathy, on the emotional culture deck is, you know, like desired is black and undesired white. And they keep coming ask, how come desired become black? How come undesired is white? Because that's the mental model. That's the mental model created, right? White should be very positive and black is negative. And that creates a little sense of, you know, curiosity for people to really reflect. There's no negative or positive. It's just that the feeling we're trying to have. So I think that's one of the learning I always had on that particular note. So Cathy, we have a couple of minutes left. I'm just quickly, you know, getting into your wisdom and trying to pick your brain on the last one thing. One thing would you like to give you as an advice to people who like to supporting someone who's in really struggle, especially in the culture? What would be one or two advice you'd like to share?
Get to know emotions and don't judge the emotions. Get to know yourself more. The more that you learn about yourself and be compassionate with yourself, you can do that for other people as well and let them be who they are and have compassion for them. We're not our emotions. We're not our thoughts. We're all people.
Brilliant. What a way to end our conversation. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the time what we have for today. My key takeaway is the desired and undesired behaviors, the feelings. And one of the things I really love, Cathy, what you picked it up, like how do you really connect the vision, mission, values, and how do you really put into practice? Because that's one of the things I think I really want to take it out as a learning. I hope our viewers and listeners got plenty of key takeaway. So, of course, you can get connected to Cathy Sheppard on her LinkedIn profile. She's very active. At the same time, you can log on to www.bsipeopleskills.co.nz, which again, all the network or the link will be available on the podcast note. You can log on to that to explore some of fantastic work she does in the space of this particular human development. So, Cathy, once again, thank you very much for spending your valuable time in the cafe.
You're very welcome. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to this podcast of EI Cafe with Azim. We sure do hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please do reach out. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the show that is available on all major podcast platforms so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Please rate, review, and leave a comment and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you're leaving with some great insights that can help you in your daily life. Follow Azim on social media and do write to us on topics and experts you'd like to hear from, and we will try to get them on board. Goodbye for now, until we meet again on another episode of EI Cafe with Azim.